another great tutorial by MotionBolt.com. I'm glad you've joined us, and today I've got a really cool motion background tutorial on how I took a summer picture and turned it into a very cool wintry motion background. So if you would like to download that cool motion background, go to MotionBolt.com. You see I've got a nice big banner on the homepage, which won't last forever, but if you're watching this tutorial recently, it'll still be up there. That'll eventually change. However, once I change that, scroll on down. You can see it posted here under my Christmas motion backgrounds. Click on that. You can take a look at it. Let's just watch it here real quick. You've got this Christmassy tree scene with some snow. You got some snow falling down. Then you've got some particle lines slowly moving outward. So it's a pretty cool motion background. So what I'd like to do is jump right in and show you how I actually made that motion background. Let's jump over to After Effects here. And now that we're in the project, we're going to start with a brand new composition here, which I've already started. Alright, this is actually what the picture looked like before we started going. Nice and green, summertime. And so, let's first of all scale this down a little bit. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do over in After Effects is we're going to drop on a hue and saturation. So let's go and drop that on there. And let's drop this down to about a -81 here. We're going to crank those colors way down. Alright, -82, that works fine. And that takes out most of the color here, but also we're going to add a curves adjustment. Throw that on there. Let's go ahead and pull in some extra blue. And then pull out a little bit of the red. Ooh, that's starting to look a little more wintry now, a little cold. Let's add a little bit of depth of field here. So we're going to go to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. And let's add a little Gaussian blur. There it is. And with the pen tool, we're going to cut right along this tree line here. Kind of follow these cliffs a little bit. Follow that right up. Alright. Let's increase this to about a 25, somewhere in there, and we'll feather this out slightly. So we'll drop it down, go to Masks, drop it down, and we'll go to Feather, and we'll feather that out nicely there. Alright. That looks pretty believable. I like that. And also, while we're at it, we're going to blur a little bit of the foreground. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So let's duplicate it. Delete the old mask, and then let's add a new mask just over this bottom section here, kind of do like a little triangle there, and then we'll feather that out as well. So that adds a little bit of depth of field, makes it look nice. It really highlights those trees right in the middle there, which looks good. Feather that out a little bit more, so that way it looks a little more natural. Alright, the final thing we're going to do to our image here is add a Lumetri effect. So let's go to New, Adjustment Layer. There we go. Let's go to Lumetri. Lumetri Color. Let's go ahead and drop that on. Alright, let's go to Creative. And then under Look, let's go down to Vintage 1. There we go. And let's bring the intensity down to about 50 for now. We don't need it too intense, but that looks pretty good. I'm really liking how that looks. Looks nice and cold. Alright, so that's starting to look pretty good. So the next thing we're going to do is add the radio waves in. We'll go to Layer, New, New Solid, and let's just call these lines for now. Now the effect we're going to put on is Effects, Generate, Radio Waves. Under Polygon, let's go ahead and switch this down to 4 sides. Frequency is going to be 0.1. Expansion is going to be 2.5. Lifespan is going to be about 40. End width is going to be 17.5. We're going to jump down to that. That looks nice. Starting width is going to be about 2. And let's see how that's starting to look here. If we drag this out a little bit, if you drag your adjustment layer over, it kind of expands it nicely there. Okay. Yeah, that's starting to look pretty good. Let's go ahead and change the color to more like a turquoise, just white here. Somewhere along these lines here. Overall, that's starting to look pretty good. Obviously, they're a little bit too in your face, so let's go ahead and drop the opacity of this actual layer down to about 7% here. There we go. That's starting to look really good. Now, unfortunately, my computer's not fast enough to render this out in real time, but if we go ahead and play this just for a second here, it should look pretty cool. So they're expanding out nice. This gives a little bit more movement to the shot. Okay, the final step that we're going to do is add some snow now to it. So let's go ahead and head up to Layer, New, Solid. We're going to just call this Snow. Going to go up to Effects, Trap Code, and Particular. Alright, and one of the cool things about this plugin is that you can really do unlimited options with it. I know I've talked about it before. I've written some blog posts on Particular in itself, and it's just a fantastic plugin. You can do so much with it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go up to Emitter here, and let's go ahead and drag this position way above our screen here. Alright, let's go ahead and set the particles per second to 500. We're going to choose Box, Linear, Uniform, all that's good. And then XYZ, Individual. Because the first thing we're going to do is go down to emitter size X here in 4378. And what that'll do is that'll really spread the particles out. 3650 for the height. And then let's do 500 for the Z position, which that's already good, so we're good to go there. Alright, we're going to drag this back up into place here. Let's have that sitting above there. So now we've got a couple particles here. Not too bad. We'll scroll down to Particle Master here. We're going to make just a couple adjustments. Life per second, let's change that to about 12.3. That'll increase the particles falling down. We want to change the sphere to cloudlet. What that'll do is that'll make them all a little bit random there. Cloud feather, 50%, that's still fine. Size, we're going to drop this down to a 3. Make them a little bit smaller. Size random, let's increase that to 100%. And then I like doing opacity over life. I like changing that to this starts off screen and ends on screen, and then change opacity random to 100%. So that way you get some randomness in there, which for snow, nothing's ever exactly the same. So it's always a good idea to break that up a little bit. So that's starting to look pretty good now. We need to make just a few more adjustments to the snow. So let's go down to Physics. And under Physics, let's go down to Gravity and just change that to a 10. And that's going to help pull down the snow nice. So if we render this out just a little bit, there we go. That looks pretty good. We want the snow to blend into our picture, so one of the things that we can do that is change the color just slightly. So if we go down here from straight white, if we make it just a slight off gray, that just helps kind of make it so it's not quite so standoutish. Alright, that's looking pretty good. So one last thing that we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this comp. Let's go to Projects, Comp 3, let's go ahead and duplicate that. And we'll drag that back down here. Let's take Comp 3, go to Effects, and I like generating one more blur on here. Let's go to Gaussian Blur. Let's do about a 30. Let's do Repeat Edge, and then let's do an Overlay. Darkens up a little bit much, and let's drop the transparency on that down to about 25%. Gives you a nice wintry backdrop here. We'll render this out. You get the idea. Alright, thanks for checking out this cool motion background. Hopefully you found it helpful, and hopefully a little insightful on how that was created. Using a couple little tools, you can take a summer image, turn it into a wintry motion background, and turn out pretty cool. Check us out on YouTube. If you're not already subscribed, or hit that subscribe button or like button, so that way you can get notifications on when I post new motion backgrounds here. I've got a lot of cool stuff on here, and just a great website for your resources, so feel free to bookmark that. And hope to see you very soon. Thanks for watching.